into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Are you going to be the next one to be on the top of the NXT roster? Is that lyrics?
Yes.
Okay.
It's exactly what it means. This song was written way too much. Way too early.
Way too early.
You're not there yet. You're too
Okay.
early.
To your
Sorry.
4th grade dance.
Sorry. Anyways,
Yeah.
this is the Breaking Ground After Show right here on AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Cathy Kelley, and joining me, as always, Brandon Taylor.
Yep, that's me again.
At CWFH
Training
Trading
on Twitter.
On the Twitter.
It's the most
Brandon.
enthusiastic intro I've ever heard.
Yep.
For the most enthusiastic man
That's
to
right.
train you how to wrestle.
I've got a lot of charisma. Go me.
You need a gimmick. Anyway,
Sitting
follow on
next to
Twitter.
Brandon, Mark Donica.
Hi, I'm the internet soapbox Mark Donica. On Twitter at soapbox Mark. I'll get out of Jessica Jones mode. We just got off the air, and F that show.
I
Dude.
want to be here when I grow up. I want those powers.
You want to be Kristen Ritter or Jessica Jones?
Oh, Jessica Jones for
Okay.
sure.
You want
Just
to
wanna
be
be-
an alcoholic?
No,
10 steps ahead of you.
PTSD's tough, man.
just like super
It is.
strong. That's like the equivalent on the NXT roster would be Nia Jax, who we're going to talk about tonight. But
But first-
we have a very special guest in studio, Bill Hansdock, and
You may have noticed.
I am way more enthusiastic than that.
Hey, he's our
at
guest.
least- I'm just saying.
Sundown
middle.
Motel on the Twitters.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Just so you know.
I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
Very enthusiastic wrestling fan.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
lover of all things, all reality shows that WWE puts out, from
Yes.
Breaking Ground to
To
Total
the
Divas.
best show on television. Total Divas.
See, you know, that's fair because neither NXT or Breaking Ground are on American television.
Yeah.
So we can
That's
say
true.
that. You can say that Total Divas is the best.
You can't say it.
I
You
can't.
physically can't
I
say
physically
it.
Jessica
can't say
Jones isn't on television either.
Damn it, you're right.
True.
Fair enough.
True.
Yeah, all right. Fine. I guess the only other show that can win is Total Divas.
But
Good
we were
job.
talking about before we started doing this after show that this was one of the best put together episodes of Breaking Ground thus far. It kind of felt like a continuation of last week's episode because they focused on a lot of the same people that they did last week with the tag team episode. So
It's clear that Breaking Ground, they're setting it up to be very serialized. Like, you're getting introduced to Cal Bishop in one episode, and then in the next episode you get to know more about him, and then the next episode he gets fired.
I
you know?
kind of wonder if
surprise.
that's what they intended to do because I remember hearing that the first episode wasn't even fully cut together until hours before it premiered.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
That episode was a mess. And now we've started to focus. We're honing in and we actually get longer segments with people and the
This
stories
is almost
are
a 40-minute
developing.
episode. This is almost an
Yeah.
hour of like actual television.
It's all like finding its structure and finding its footing as it goes, and I
Yeah.
think that's really exciting. It's just getting better and better, but there is still a point of at least once an episode where I'm like imagining like William Shatner in the booth, like reading these words and having absolutely no idea what they mean.
or
Right.
desire to know what they
Yeah, but he's really like
How
it's
should
one
I
of
be? How should I be reading this? Doesn't matter.
How do you say this name?
just,
Nuff?
yeah.
Nahoof?
Nahoopa.
Yeah, that's great, Bill. Why don't we try one take where you think you understand what the words mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes. I was gonna say Shatner's been the glue the whole time
No, it's
because
like
of his.
It's been one of his best performances in like a decade. But it's just funny to think about. Like, he doesn't know what is happening.
He has no clue.
Yeah, he's like 73 or something.
No, he's-
78.
But if he
You
just
say lower than that,
started
yeah.
going off on a tangent, like
sorry.
this person's career is gonna take off just like you can too at Priceline.com.
Right. Just work that in.
Yeah.
So strange.
Cross promotion.
Coupon
They could have
code.
gotten anybody else. I know there's a lot of wrestlers who have good speaking voices, and they couldn't just get them in a booth and not pay them a whole lot more.
Even though most people don't even realize that it's William Shatner doing the voice, it does kind of add an extra element to the legitimacy of the show.
I can't imagine they're paying him that much.
And I also
he's William Shatner.
honestly, I don't think that it was
That's right.
WWE that did that. I think that it was the production company's
Yeah, I agree
choice
with that.
on
That's fair.
who they had narrate.
Yeah.
But before we get into this episode, I do want to discuss something that we've kind of brushed on in past after shows, but it's been a topic this week. Mick Foley came out, and a couple other people came out and said that shows like this are what's ruining kayfabe. And do you agree with that?
You mean because it just tosses kayfabe out the window?
As Brandon Taylor sits here, yes.
After shows like this ruins kayfabe.
AFTERBUZZ is just tearing the veil down.
But you're a different person.
Right, and I think that's what they're starting to figure out doing shows like that. That's a different world. That's the real world, and then there's the television NXT world, which is the alternate universe.
The biggest contrast has to be Tyler Breeze, because this is one of the first times, unless people watch the E60 special, that's one of the first times that a lot of viewers have seen Matt Clement, not Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, and
especially in this episode.
The stuff that he was saying just had me yelling for joy, but also in just simply amazement that they're giving away this information for free.
Yeah.
Like what he said, write it down.
Yeah.
Really
Memorize
invaluable
that.
to people that want to get into the industry.
Absolutely. And what he's saying is stuff that I've known for years and years, and to just give it away like that.
But that's what made like that scene like so captivating for people who haven't paid to learn that those lessons, is just like seeing like the hard separation between the person and the character, and laying it all out like that, of like the things that you have to keep in mind and the things that you have to be aware of.
Right. It's a conscious decision to shape and mold a character like that. It's not simply turning up your personality to 11. That's not how that works.
Right.
You actually have to take thought and time and craft something that's a product. It's a product. And the Hobo's a product of mine, and Tyler Breeze is the product of Matt Clement. Hobo will disagree with that whole
He will, up and
Mark's
down.
brain just
It did,
exploded if
100%.
you're listening.
I think, going back to something that I've said on this show previously, I think this is a part of the ultimate strategy to create better wrestlers around the world, so that when they start looking for people, they go, "Oh, good, you learned that thing that we gave you."
Well, this is what we're looking for as well.
Because we're learning it with Juice off in Japan, and now Sami Callihan showing back up in Chicago and all around the world, and presumably around the world, to make himself to make both of them bigger names, and he's spreading
For
the
people
style.
who are just WWE fans.
Solomon Crow,
And CJ Parker. Yeah.
and CJ Parker going back to older names of theirs to make their stock. Their stock was brought up by being in NXT as a worldwide product, and now going back around the world, they're going to raise it even higher with all of the word of mouth that they have. And this, and especially that Breeze scene, seems like more of their strategy to just make wrestling better, which is a weird thing to think about from the corporate overlords that are WWE.
And it's interesting. We
the
have
IWC.
We have
credible sources.
A friend down there right now who's lending hand in the Performance Center. Rocky Romero.
Literally
He's
today.
a guest trainer.
Oh, is he actually there?
Yeah.
I didn't
He's
know
down
that.
there this week as a guest trainer.
Which
and
is so exciting.
That news broke, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, oh, well, now that's public.
But he's someone that has been training a lot of the guys at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood at the training center right here.
His information is absolutely invaluable. I've known it my entire career because I've been training with him that long.
Which is, I think, sorry, brain exploding. Still getting over that hobo thing you said.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, in the Fit Pit, which is the first you're starting out place,
started in Van Nuys.
and knowing Rocky there, and then learning who Rocky was afterwards, going, holy crap! And then especially even better, like him remembering who I was from that period is just like, who the hell am I? You're Rocky goddamn Romero.
You're
Excuse
marking
me.
out right
I was, but and to sit as a non-player in those sessions with him training, 100% invaluable.
Yeah.
They're beyond lucky to get Rocky down there.
I think he's just such a genuine person that adds a lot to it.
Yeah, we were talking about his career, and he's been doing it for 16 years, and I said, it's not that you've been wrestling for 16 years, it's that you've been able to keep the magic for 16 years.
And be so humble about it.
That's what it is. It's hard to just stay positive and be an influence for that long. It's almost impossible. So when you find somebody who's done it, ooh, they're a gem.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should put over some people that are actually on Breaking Ground.
Oh, okay.
Well, another dude that we know, we actually got a name drop of Mr. Ryan Katz this episode.
That's
okay,
true.
so I watched the episode twice because I usually just watch it once, like mindlessly, and then I watch it for notes so we can do the after show. But the first time I didn't even notice that it was Ryan, and he's my best friend, and I was like, what am I doing? But it was because there wasn't, like, they didn't show his face.
Right.
We saw
You
the
saw
lower
side
third.
and back.
And they gave him a lower third, but no face.
Yeah.
Thanks, editing booth.
We're getting there. We're getting
so
there.
good.
Yeah. But we start off this episode with, as they refer to him, the social media darling of Tough Enough, ZZ.
That sentence alone just solidifies why he's on this show.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just there for this show. They
Yeah.
do not see him as a long-term prospect. He is just going to do
long-term
numbers
investment.
for them. That's it.
Which is surprising because I feel like if they wanted to use someone from the show, why not use Sarah? Since she had the same social media draw, but it doesn't seem like they're necessarily invested in building her as a diva, like as we heard from the end of the show.
I just think that probably with Sarah, and I'm someone who is a fan of her on Tough Enough, like I think the problem with Sarah on Breaking Ground is she doesn't really seem captivating in any way for a reality show. She seems like she's probably just going to like work hard and do her best not to smile all the time. Like you can't really do a Breaking Ground story. Like Josh like scoffing at ZZ, like that's enough to keep Josh on the show because he
Barely.
barely.
Like he's in the background
Yeah.
showing up ZZ every chance he gets.
But
Instead of building him up, which was really what he should do.
The one shot we got of Sarah was like everyone else is like angry about something or like concerned about something. She's like sitting on the ring apron, like just staring. Like everyone's looking one way and she's just like staring off into space.
Look, a bug.
Yeah.
ZZ's got a more he's got a more interesting story. Whether you
And he's also a very polarizing person. Just whenever
Either
he's
you
going to
love
be
him
on.
or you hate him.
Yeah,
but also whether you like him, whether you watch Tough Enough or not, because we totally did. It was seeing a guy who's that young and has that air about him.
He's so young.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
He's the
super
same age
young.
as Noof.
Yeah, he's the same. It's God bless her if she watches. We know your name, but it's compelling to see a dude who's that out of it, try to get into this world to one, show how hard it is to the everyday person, and two, you want to see him succeed.
Well, I'm really
Some
interested
people
too.
want to
Arguably.
succeed.
I am interested in seeing if by the end of this season of Breaking Ground, however many episodes we get, if he has improved or if it's going to be the continuation of every single week. I feel like we see ZZ and he's struggling, whether it's with, a new move or roles, or this week Robbie Brookside pushing him with cardio and him not being able to face up or stack up to the other guys. Yeah.
I mean, he seemed emotionally broken after this segment, and that's pretty much why he didn't really appear at any other point during the show. It was like, oh, well, that's the end of that thread. He's broken now.
I think we'll get him in 2 weeks, hopefully, whether he's improved or not.
Well, he did reportedly legitimately get
got
injured.
hurt.
Get
Yeah.
hurt, but I think that'll be maybe by the time season 2 rolls around.
I don't
Right.
know that they'll show that.
No.
Well,
I mean, we
show
definitely
everything
won't see it in
They
this
might report
season.
on his
dramatic.
recovery,
Yeah.
if anything.
Well, the one thing that surprises me about ZZ, like I watched all of Tough Enough, and even into like now, like after he's been given a contract and everything, like I'm a guy who's been out of shape a lot and like worked really hard to not be out of shape, and it just is always, it's just constantly surprising to me about ZZ that like just his mental makeup is like, and he's like 19, which is crazy. Like he just is so unwilling to like listen to people and be coachable, and he's so unable to like push through.
That's what it is a lot of training is mental, and whether you think you can do it or not, and you can psych yourself out and think that you can't push through, and that's what a lot of people, whether you're in shape or out of shape, you just have to mentally either think that you can do it or do it until your body breaks and trust that you're not going to die.
But he's like the only person I've ever seen like in real life, like doing any sort of like fitness thing, like with a goal to accomplish, like with a specific like set of parameters of like, you have to do this or we will drop you or we will fail you. Just consistently like not do it.
Well, I think he needs smaller goals. You're talking about weight loss and fitness and getting in shape, and it all breaks down into smaller goals. I myself went through many changes, and it's all about setting smaller goals and hitting those goals. Truly, his goal is simply not to get fired, and that's not a goal. A solid goal. You need a really smaller,
but
solid
goal.
They're
like,
something that you're in control of.
Right. Like, stop screwing around. He won't do it. Just give me 10 more seconds. He won't do it.
Like, so it's new.
He's a teenager. She's not much better.
Paige, JoJo, there are so many people that started at 18, 19 in the Performance Center.
Paige is an anomaly.
It doesn't matter that Paige is an anomaly, but there's so many people that started at the Performance Center at a very young age. The Rotundas, like, there's so many people, and even though they were born into this industry, they still took it seriously, and there are people that weren't born into this industry who take it seriously. And I mean, we see even with Josh, even though he was in better shape going into it, he still transformed his body into something that's better than it was when he started.
Yeah. My takeaway from this is like, alligator wrestling must be like the least demanding thing you can possibly because the whole thing about like being young, like it must be a combination of him being young. If it is at all about him being young, it must be a combination of him being young and having never done anything structured athletically ever. Because you can't tell me that like Gable and Jordan weren't like on a bike for 3 hours trying to cut weight when they were like 15 and 16.
Right.
That's not stuff that like just being dedicated to like achieving one little thing isn't tied to like being immature and being young.
He needs to wake up in the new world that he's in, because he's too busy. He's too stuck in his world of it takes a village and all of that stuff, where he had that community thing,
where
and it was all about it's a different sort of entitlement.
I just wish that ZZ's dad could be around every week.
Yeah, that 1 week he was around was great.
He is glorious.
He's
great. Like everything that you would imagine ZZ's dad to be, but also he has like some of Greg Allman's DNA.
Hopefully the music too. We're in the first
He's no angel.
Thread.
Yeah,
he's no
angel.
Okay,
we're in the first story thread of the whole episode. We need to go.
After this, we see a little bit more of Ryder and Raleigh and Gable and Jordan. Of course, Gable and Jordan move on in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic that we already saw play out on NXT. But Ryder and Raleigh seem like they're struggling a little bit with chemistry. We saw that last week, but they aren't getting in the same number of reps that tag teams that are in the same location are getting.
Exactly.
Yeah, consistency. The lack of consistency is going to cause a lot of problems as a tag team. Your performance as a unit is going to suffer, and that's just part of what being separated is all about.
It sounds like we'll see more of this pan out over the rest of the season, but I wanted to mention, I wrote down the slow-mo cam shots were really cool in between different segments. I just really like those. But we see Cal Bishop, and this is a guy who the coaches are only saying good things about. We saw his story last week, and it's hard not to get behind the guy because of how passionate he is about the industry. But his return after being injured twice.
Right. I mean, just everything they were saying confirmed what I had originally thought. He tore his labrum. He tore his rotator cuff. He had 3 injuries and 2 surgeries.
Yeah.
And that's, oh man, it's that hard to come back from.
Especially with your right arm. That is aside, I mean, your legs are very important too. But
they showed him picking up Crow. They showed the exact moment his shoulder slipped out again. It was a body slam. He went up like this and went clunk, and they put him down and went, oh damn it!
I thought he said that was the first time, and then the second time
that was
it was
2014.
a hip toss in practice.
Yeah.
Feeding for hip tosses.
Right arm's gonna stay firm and just funk. Oh damn it! Not again.
So can he just go to Mexico and start working then? Is that?
Couldn't anybody really?
We'll talk about his
Sorry, somebody in the chat. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Easy.
his fate at the end of
watch
the
it.
after show. But they begin to talk about the Divas Revolution, and we see a lot of the female talent down at NXT. They mention some of the girls that moved up to the main roster recently, including Paige and Sasha. And then we see Nia Jax,
Yes.
who we love here at AfterBuzz,
Yes.
but The Rock, her cousin, also
Oh, is that true?
strongly put over on Instagram this past week.
Are they related? Is that a thing?
Yes.
He puts her over a lot. Like, a lot. Loves her.
She's great.
Yes, we know. She's 100% fantastic.
As long as she keeps improving.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as long as she remains associated with Eva Marie.
Nothing but good things.
But I also love, there's so many people, whether it's male or female, who when they're interviewed or when they're on Breaking Ground or whatever it is, they're talking about how their goal is to be the best and to be on the main roster and to make an impact that stands the test of time longer than just themselves. And she's one of those people that I actually believe it's going to happen, and I'm rooting for her.
It starts with stature. She's got a unique look, and it's very different, and she doesn't fit in the most positive way.
Honestly, it's not her stature. It's her drive, and it's clear that her work ethic is there.
Yes, but I mean, it starts with the look. As soon as you come out, you have to have that moment where people connect with you, and people understand what she is the moment she starts. Now, that starts with her drive at the very beginning, but it all is managing to come together in the right way for her.
I disagree that it's about her stature, because I look at her and Tamina Snuka to have very similar builds, and I don't feel as connected as a fan to Tamina as I do to Nia Jax.
I think that's a lot to do with presentation, though, too. So they
Yeah.
didn't really present Tamina like we've known Tamina for years now, and we weren't introduced to Tamina as like, wow, look at this huge, this impressive powerhouse. And that's how it
was supposed to be, though.
But she was
with the
never
Usos
presented.
and-
Yeah.
It was just like, hey,
She
look,
was there.
another Samoan.
Yeah.
It happens to be Snuka's daughter.
Right.
Look at that. It's cool.
She's
Like, I
super
think
fly.
Yeah, Naya's got all of the potential to be like the new, the Awesome Kong for a new generation.
Right.
But she has the added benefit of not having been
She's also
Awesome Kong
retiring.
before coming to WWE.
That's true.
So Nia Jax gets to be WWE's own thing,
Right.
which I think will give her a much bigger chance to become a bigger thing.
Right. I mean, she gets to be something that they create,
Yeah.
so they like that a lot. She's
Plus the family ties
automatically
don't help.
associated with The Rock, and they love
think they
that.
don't
So
The 9 million Twitter followers or whatever it is
That's nothing.
behind her. So we see
No writer revolution.
a little bit of her. And this is the first time where we see Tyler Breeze in a teaching capacity. He's helping out with the women training and them trying to find their character.
this was just great to watch, because as he was talking, I was going, "This is amazing!" And the girls were looking at him like, "I have no idea how to take all this."
Well,
Yeah,
it's like free training.
But it's great to see the girls go like doing like the nodding that I'm listening, but like there's nothing.
they can't process it.
Noof is
It's
like,
too
Bratz
much.
dog, Kardashian.
It's like,
Got it.
I'm a big Kardashian.
Ugh.
We'll talk about
Yeah,
that
we'll
later.
get there.
But he kind of schools them on Gorgeous George, and
And I love the old
Oh.
footage. Oh man, that's
You
such
can probably
good
watch
stuff.
on the WWE Network, probably.
which is
No,
really cool.
I don't think so.
Really?
We've talked to him about how he came into his character and the references that he had, and what he was a fan of before are not necessarily what everyone thinks. Like Zoolander wasn't the first thing that came
Yeah.
to his mind as far as his character went, which is really interesting.
It's just sort of how funny that it sort of got there, because I guess that means that Zoolander is the thing, but he
Yeah.
found a different road and got almost to the
Speaking
same
of
place.
which,
But why male models?
it was so funny because with Rocky Romero down at NXT this week, I saw a couple people who are training at NXT talk about how they're studying Japanese wrestling like yesterday, and I was like, oh, Rocky.
You should watch this. Yeah.
Anyways, we see the girls in class, which they refer to as a skull session. I had never heard that term before.
I don't know that one.
But
They might have meant skill session.
Oh. William
Sort
Shatner.
of what I thought, but maybe they have a skull
But
that
skull,
they
skull
reference.
session might be like a corporate
Brainstorming.
speak thing.
Yeah.
That
I thought it was a squirrel session, and I was worried about
secret
taking
invasion.
over the earth.
Squirrel.
Yeah, no, not a squirrel.
Squirrel session.
So it is to develop their on-camera image.
So they're watching Nikki Bella.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which she does have a very defined image, whether you like it or not.
No, and especially in those call interviews, it allows no matter who's on the other side of that camera to
You know who she is.
really shine.
I mean,
So,
like, no
it's a good
matter
example.
no matter like, well, I mean, for the most part, just about anyone on the main roster, like someone who's in the Performance Center, especially, and a lot of people who are in NXT, just watching someone who's been on camera and been on TV for like 10 years, that can help with just like, how do I be natural on
Yeah.
camera? Like, this is a good way to learn. You know?
And they were talking about scripts and how you memorize it and then how you repeat it and change
Make
it
it
so
your
that
own.
it's your own and it feels natural while keeping with the original theme of the script.
That's something that's always been difficult for me in hosting is sometimes you have a script and you have to repeat it exactly verbatim or the writers get mad at you. And sometimes you are given that leeway and it makes it a lot easier because you're able to put it in your own words and make it that much more natural.
Feels less mechanical that way.
Yeah, for sure. But it was cool to see a little bit into that. We also get to see Noof given her name, which is going to be Aaliyah. Ryan Katz delivered the news, and we saw her at the top of the show frustrated that she hasn't been booked on live shows, but now she's happy because she gets the name Leah. Leah. She
Don't start
immediately talks to Regal and wants to have a meeting with him about how she can begin developing her character, pitches some ideas about how she wants to be the Kardashian Bratz doll.
How original.
Scrap that.
I mean, that's exactly what he said. And I thought that was really smart on him to give her that advice, but not to, it didn't look like he was rolling his eyes. It was him saying, you know, when you do debut and if you are, you know, if you have the career trajectory of being on NXT TV in a year and a half, and then moving to the main roster a year and a half after that, the Kardashians could be obsolete by then. So don't base this off a character in pop culture. They won't be.
You can't be current. You can never be current in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Really, because you never know. You could show up.
But that doesn't stop them from trying.
No,
Right.
Yes.
Well, you just have to pick a timeless archetype.
Yeah.
It's commedia dell'arte, so you have to pick the form that it speaks to everyone.
Or have a character that can develop.
Right.
Like Tyler Breeze's character,
Like
while
Adam
he's a
Ross.
male model, it started with, you know, just a selfie, and now it's the selfie stick, which became popular months later, and now it's Skype and Periscope and all these other things.
But I do have to say, like, picking that Kardashian archetype, that is definitely something that can develop and grow and not be dated. Because just like picking someone who's like an entitled, like,
But that's
But
rich
they
girl.
already have that character
Right.
in multiple
That's fair.
forms.
That's fair.
So
That's
you're
totally
just
fair.
sort of recreating the same thing.
Yeah.
You just try and get a press and stamp them out. No, you got to have something that's different, something that differentiates yourself from the roster.
Right.
Find the thing that differentiates yourself from them, and then expand on that.
Right. While we're talking about Noof, I have to discuss this with some other people.
Please.
Yes.
Every week I see Noof in talking head segments, and every week she's wearing the most 90s ass clothing. I can, like,
90s are
she's
popular again,
always
dude.
got a choker on. She's always got a pastel, like, halter top.
It might
like,
still be the 90s in Canada.
I think that she's working through.
Just like the South.
I think she's working her way through, like, every outfit that was worn in the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
90s are popular again. Chokers, those necklaces, those
Actually,
tattoo
yeah, I saw one
necklaces
not
that I
long
used to
ago.
get at Claire's back in the 4th grade,
That-
those are like in
that
style.
may-
Wesley
be
Blake was
true.
wearing one a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, I
No,
have seen,
chokers
like, a
are
lot of
thing.
90s
Okay,
print
so they're
stuff.
not popular anymore. They're done. I'm done with them.
If Wesley Blake's wearing it, immediately done.
No,
It's
I
over.
I can't wear French
come on.
braids anymore.
No, but like she's the only like I will
stands out in the
concede
back
that
of
like
the crowd.
90s clothing is coming back, but maybe it's because she's 19. It's just like she's the only person I see dressed like that, and
As
it's
a-
like always in her talking head segments. It just drives me up the wall. That doesn't drive me off the wall. I'm
That's
just like, is anyone else seeing this? Like,
Have you not
Did a
been to Brandy
producer-
Melville recently? I mean, that's like all that they're selling.
I didn't even know what you just said.
That's-
I'm not.
she's
19
not
and
even
from
old enough
Canada.
to
I'm
shop.
speaking Noof's language right now.
She's not even old enough to shop at Forever 21 yet.
Hey,
She'll shopping at Claire's.
Can I see your ID, ma'am?
you're not
She
allowed
can't
into the
get
store.
into Club Monaco because she's too young. Oh no. Okay.
She can't get into S Club
What?
7?
All right,
No? Okay.
S Club.
she's not a card.
That sounds
That's a 90s
familiar.
reference.
It's a
All right.
band.
That's a good band.
Don't play it.
It's a great
Please
band.
don't.
Just cue up some S Club 7.
Stop, never give up.
Stop it.
Reach to the top. Let the world see
The
what
comments
we have got.
love
Back
this
to
one.
you.
We've
Bring
got
it
like
back
15
now.
minutes.
Apollo Crew.
Thank you, because we've got 15 minutes until NXT starts, so we got to get through the show.
Okay,
Hell
so
yeah.
Apollo Crews, we finally see some personality from him on the show. He gets to relax and hang out with his boys. They're playing some video games, some WWE 2K.
And you know that's
you know that's what they play on the reg.
that's one of the things where it's like that's staged. That's
It's
100% staged.
Are you kidding me? This is a lifestyle.
Your mouth.
Never ends.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that was the only video game they could get cleared, and
Yeah,
it was
for
one
sure.
of that was definitely one of those reality show segments where I'm sure they do get together and just hang out or play video games, but that was so
if,
set up.
If you have 6 people together playing video games, that's a pretty. You're not gonna like get. Hey, everybody, crowd in the living room. I'm gonna play Fallout 4. You can all watch.
Well, no, but if you get Madden, NBA 2K,
that's fair. Okay.
but wrestling,
Other sport game.
yeah, other sport game.
Other sport.
Although
FIFA,
when I
PES.
started working at AfterBuzz, we would just have Friday nights. We would sit around with 2 people playing WWE 2K.
See that?
I think it was 14 at the
Party
time,
stuff?
or
Yeah.
13 or something like that. 13 for sure.
That's cool.
But yeah.
But when you're in that world, you need a break.
Oh, I actually think I think I caught a glimpse, or because they had N64 controllers.
No,
and
they
yelled
that
something.
last
No
episode.
They were
Mercy.
playing
Yeah.
No Mercy.
That I
Or-
can understand
Yeah.
because No Mercy is a classic. But I don't know if it was more like, hey, just play 2K because 2K is going to be out by the time, so people go,
Yeah.
oh, hey, they play it. I should play it too.
Plug the game.
I'll give you
Plug the
$20
game.
if you play 2K16.
Colin, 100%.
I'm eating this week.
Thanks, Mister.
For his character, I would love to see more of that, like, I don't know, like, that seemed natural of him, like, smiling and proud to win and, like,
We've
very
seen
Apollo
that.
Crews
likable.
smiling.
Smiling
No,
and
but
proud
like,
to win.
but like,
Wow.
Like they even
legit
commented
smile.
on it at the beginning, at the end of the show. Like, what is it? You
know
smile?
when people are just like smiling versus like legit happy, like, I don't know.
That's a lot of people. Wow.
like you're really genuine right now, but like.
Thank you. I'm glad it came through.
Okay, so let's talk about we already saw Tino and his brother in previous episodes, but they show yeah.
Okay.
It was referred
Yeah.
to like his brother was very shortly seen in the original episode with Tino.
Yeah, in the first episode.
And
Yeah.
it was mentioned that his brother is an indie wrestler who lives in the area, and Tino and him had a tryout at the same time, but Tino was signed and his brother wasn't. We see more of the story where his brother was actually injured during the time of their tryout, and that could have hindered him from actually getting signed. But I don't know, like, what did you think of this relationship?
It's I don't know. There's not enough there yet for me to really give thoughts on the relationship, but it's funny how things work out. That 2 brothers who are both relatively good looking, one can wrestle and one can't. They try out at the exact same time, and the one who doesn't wrestle gets signed.
Yeah.
It's just that's funny how things work out.
It also shows you the type that they're looking for, you know?
Right.
That they were looking for at the time, because I feel like it goes through different stages where, you know, one year they want all football players and all rugby players and all soccer players, and then the next year they want all indie wrestlers who have huge followings. So it goes through.
Well,
it's-
cycles.
Yeah.
It's the old WWF mindset, which is you bring in the established guys who can help put over the guys who have no experience, so you can train those while you have these guys established at the same time, and it creates a nice crossbreed and a nice mix. But it's it's just funny how you hear the coaches talk about Sabby and he comes off as robotic. Now, either that's as a result of him being benched because of his concussion, or just because he doesn't yet fully understand what he's meant to do in that ring. You sort of wonder, would his brother be any different?
I mean, to me, also, every football player I think I've ever heard do interviews, and basketball players, a lot of athletes are very robotic in their interviews. So I can't imagine having that media training ingrained into your head and then having to start completely over from scratch and throw really all of that away.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because NFL players especially, like, they're told, oh yeah, we had a good game. We tried our hardest, but we're gonna come back next time. And
They're not supposed to be that animated.
No, that's really animated.
Yeah,
They're not supposed to be punching their head.
The defense wasn't really going that hot,
Yeah.
so next game we're gonna work on it. So
Yeah, like
Thanks,
just every
LeBron. It's
every
so-
athlete
it's-
that's like grown up
It's
in a
such a
system.
canned like response.
Well,
and
they're
that's what we hear
taught.
all
They're
the time,
taught to
yeah.
like never show your emotion, never tell the truth, never give any information, never throw
Never
anyone
tell
else
the
under the
truth.
bus. No, they are. They're never supposed to be like, yeah, the coach fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, they're never supposed to be like, I wouldn't have ran that play, you know, like, unless you're Kobe, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're never supposed to say what's really on your mind, what you're really thinking, what your real emotions are. You're been taught for the past, like, half of your life to be like, just give the most banal comment that you gave a comment that someone can print that quote, but don't give anything of substance ever. Keep all of your emotions very guarded.
I believe
toe
you.
the line.
And then Aaron-
And now you're getting into an industry where it's like, you got to hype this up, throw everybody under the bus. You want to beat up everybody. Like, that's got to be, like, that's a really good point. Like, that's got to be really hard.
need-
Aaron
need
Andrews
acting.
is like,
Yeah.
thank you so much. That
Yeah.
was a great interview.
Yeah. Oh, God. We should get Richard Sherman into the WWE.
Wow.
Yes. No. Yeah. That
good
got
enough.
really hot.
Let's get another Adam Lee.
Jeff Harvey.
Jeff
so,
Harvey.
Jamaican me crazy, Kofi.
But I thought that with him and his brother, that was very like interesting, just because that little like I tried
creates
out on a
conflict.
whim and I got the job. Like,
Yeah.
there has to be some resentment from, you
Yeah.
know, the younger brother of your older brother who didn't really care about wrestling is now living out your dream.
and I think that if they stick with these guys,
Yeah.
I think they will get into that more.
Well-
Because Sabby, like, throughout I've lived my dream twice now, and he hasn't lived his.
Not only, I
Sabby's
was
got a
gonna
lot of
say,
guilt.
not
Yeah, a lot
only
of guilt.
living out your dream, but already owning a house and
Right.
being set up and
Driving a Maserati.
yeah, wearing nice suits. He didn't even look like a wrestler because his suit was so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
dress code.
how hard does he have to try? Really? Where's his drive in this? Where's
Well, I think that
Sabby's
for
drive?
think
ex-athletes it is like that pride thing of like I can still do something. Like, I have to prove I can.
There
still do
is
something.
a passion there too. I think Baron Corbin is proof of that, and Big E is proof of that as well, a former football player.
and Mojo Rawley.
But it's that question of, if you were to win the lottery, what would you be doing? Like, if I were to get $60 million tomorrow, I would still be here every single week.
Aw,
Yeah, I would. That's exactly what I would want to be doing.
never
so
see me again.
You want to fly to another country?
mean,
it'd probably make it a lot easier.
Listen,
But-
I love y'all, but I'd be flying everywhere and
Yeah.
wrestling everybody with legs, and some people who
But that's
don't
a
have
good
legs
thing.
anymore.
So
You know what, I believe
it's
that.
it's what you're passionate
Sugar
about.
Bear, I'm
and
coming for you.
You'd be wrestling still. Like that speaks volumes to what you're passionate about. And so
Ooh, I could finally be a money mark.
Ew, weird.
we actually
That just makes me think of customs.
we end the episode with meetings with Canyon. Some people are getting raises, and some people are unfortunately not.
I thought the editing of this part was like really brilliant. Of like, you're getting a double
I
bump.
like
That's
that.
the highest. You're getting a raise. It's not the top. And
The
then
last
like,
person to do it was Owens.
yeah,
so.
like
Yeah.
you're getting a raise. You're getting a raise.
Yeah.
You're getting a raise.
And of course, it's Cruz.
I don't
You're
want to beat
getting
around.
a raise. You're getting a raise.
I don't want to
Check
beat around
under
the
your
bush. We're gonna
seat.
let you go.
Look,
Like,
everybody, you're fired.
But
What?
that was the quickest, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Cal was just
Yeah.
clearly just
and
blindsided.
the way that
Everything everything shut down.
Yeah, and the way that they edited it made you feel like everyone's coming out of that office being like, "We all got raises," and then when in reality he was probably like several hours apart.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
that was a different day, I believe, because they
probably,
released.
but the way they edited it, there's like you're getting raised,
But also, you could definitely tell that some. First of all, if you don't read the rags and know that Cal Bishop got let go, that'd be one thing. But if you just notice in the production, Bloom was in the room with everybody but Cal.
Yeah.
So
you're
that's
right.
Something's different, something's changing. It's not the same thing.
Right.
And then before he even sat down, hey, you're being let go. Here's your paper, please.
What? Yeah, his reaction was just
heartbreaking.
The man was crying on the last episode because he wasn't able to. He wanted to pursue this so much they did forego traveling for the holidays. He wanted to be there so much. You're fired. No, not now.
Speaking about being passionate about it, like, I don't know what to do over holidays. I was going crazy over Thanksgiving because I wanted to work.
Well,
It's a lifestyle.
Just drink.
What?
That's
No.
what I do.
Like, I want to work on New Year's Eve.
I wish
like,
that was a joke.
I don't want to go out with friends. I want to work on New Year's Eve.
Interesting. Well, actually, that's speaking of that. Just a bit of a housekeeping note. Breaking Ground might continue during the holidays, but AfterBuzz as a studio is going to be dark from December 19th to January 2nd. So,
January 2nd?
Yeah. Wow. Couple weeks where we may not get any. If we do get Breaking Ground, there won't be an after show for it until after New Year's. Unfortunately,
December 19th to January 2nd.
Yep.
That's a really
That's
big
2 weeks.
break.
What am I gonna do with my life?
You're telling me I work here?
Wasn't it just 1 week last year?
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the days that the holidays end up on.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know.
Well,
Despite that,
like the end of the
so the wrestling shows, of course, since they are all weekly, so NXT, Raw, SmackDown, those are going to be on a little bit of a break, and we're going to try to catch up on as much as that. Oh, whoops. Did I just do something? I just did something wrong. Never mind. Ignore me. What? I don't even speak English.
Hopefully we'll be here.
Yes.
Maybe we will.
might
It'll
be
be a
here.
Christmas
The
gift
holiday schedule. What I meant to say is the holiday schedule is still being turned out,
TBD.
and because Breaking Ground is so unpredictable, so is ours.
Yes.
Saved it.
Absolutely.
Nailed it.
Way to turn it around.
What an it? No, I don't even deserve it.
But that brings us to the end of our Breaking Ground after show with that announcement.
That confusing announcement that had no heading whatsoever.
Announcement.
I apologize.
Do you guys have
Completely
any other
followed by
thoughts
retraction.
from this episode?
I don't speak English.
No?
It was fun.
Just
when you watch the episode, picture William Shatner in the booth.
That's right.
I usually do.
Yeah.
With no pants.
Oh, that says skill sessions,
Irish
not
coffee.
skull
Yeah.
sessions?
Yeah.
He just got a little Irish that day. Skull
bit.
sessions.
With his glasses down.
Bill, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
I
us
loved
on
it.
the Breaking
It was so
Ground
much fun.
after show. If people
you.
want to find you or your writing work, where can they find it?
Follow me on Twitter at Cinemotel. Check out cagesideseats.com, sbnation.com/wrestling. Look me up on IMDb. 3 of my movies are on Netflix. You can watch them.
Shout out.
Sweet. I am on the Twitter at CWFH Training on Twitter. If you want to learn how to wrestle, call or text 818-381-2563. Go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com for all the shirts, including a new one for the Hobo that just went up, I think, a few days ago.
It was Sunday, so that's why
Sunday?
I've let the Black Friday thing go a little bit longer.
Okay.
And you can find me in all of my misinformation at Soapbox Mark on Twitter. A whole bunch of shows during Jessica Jones, Star Wars. If you're a fan of Moonbeam City, we actually have the creator of the show in tonight at 8:30. Please come visit us.
Cool. You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley and on Instagram at Cathy Kelley. Stick around if you're watching live because we are doing the NXT after show in about an hour. So check that out, and we will see you again, hopefully, for another Breaking Ground episode next week.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.